Hello, my name is Carlos. Welcome to It's Complicated. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about one of the most insane tool/diver watches under $2,000 that you can find on the market. The Mido Ocean Star 600 Special Edition in black DLC. So this is the Mido Ocean Star 600 in black DLC. This is a special edition of this particular watch. It is a Swiss-made watch that is just an insane spec monster. First of all, it's made by Mido, which has over 100 years of experience making watches. It has a Cosc certified movement, 600-meter water resistance, the most insane bezel action that I've seen on a watch, and I mean that in a good way. It has insane, monstrous lume, and the entire stainless steel is super hardened with diamond-like carbon coating, which basically makes it super scratch resistant. So before we get any deeper into the review, I just want to thank the folks over at Mido for letting me borrow this watch. They were nice enough to send it to me so I could review it, but I will not be keeping this watch. I will be sending it back to Mido as soon as the review is over, and all of my opinions that I give you will be my own, and they'll be as honest as I can make them. All right, with all of that basic housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and see what's in the box. So this is pretty much the box that Mido ships the watch in. It has a white sleeve. Let's go ahead and remove this slip. After removing the sleeve, we can open the cardboard box to reveal the wooden box that's inside. That is quite nice. As we remove the wooden box, we see a kind of secret compartment inside of the cardboard box that has our usual warranty cards and Cosc certification cards. Farther in the box, we can see our usual Mido manual, pretty thick, lots of stuff to read here. Another thing that we see is this really nice strap tool that Mido sends with this watch, because this watch does come with an extra strap. And then we get another kind of book that sort of mentions the Cosc certification and warranty and some of the service. So let's go ahead and open the box and see what's inside the box. So you can see that the Mido boxes are always really nice. They're made out of wood, they're black, they always have that really nice pop of orange. As we open it up, we can see the special edition decoration. We can see the extra strap that ships with the watch. A pretty nice rubber strap here. Then we can see that the watch comes in a really nice cushion. I get the idea that the cushion basically comes in two pieces, so that once you've fit the watch and you've made that strap smaller, you can use the inner piece to sort of better fit the watch. All right, so now that we have a watch on hand, one of the things that I first like to look at is the fit and finish. And this is a watch that's like super interesting when it comes to the fit and finish, because it has a lot of the things that you would see in your average Swiss watch, especially a high quality watch, except for one thing. This is a super hardcore tool watch. And usually in watches like this, you would expect to have no polishing. But this watch has quite a bit of polishing, and it actually looks really nice and really blingy. And while some people might look at some of this polishing and think, hey, this doesn't belong in a tool watch, you have to remember that all of the finishing is covered in diamond-like carbon, which basically makes the metal super hard and super scratch resistant. So me personally, I'm a really big fan of the Ocean Star cases. They're very reminiscent of like maybe Rolex or Tudor cases, except for the fact that unlike Tudor cases, they do have bevels on the edges which are polished and look really beautiful. This is kind of accented by brushing on the sides and on the top of the lugs. On the crown, you have the beautiful signed crown with the crown protectors onto the sides. Then on the other side of the watch, we basically have the helium escape valve, which is very nice. One of the things that's very interesting about the bezel is that unlike other watches that are simply unidirectional and you can just click it, this bezel is completely locked until you push it down. Once you push it down, then you're able to adjust it. It's 60 clicks of adjustment, And so it creates this really interesting, smooth action. Also, if you are gonna time something, whether it's a dive or whether it's how long you've had your barbecue ribs in the grill, you know that nothing's gonna bump that bezel unless you want to actually adjust it. So I think that that's something that's really cool. Moving to the dial, this is a dial that's really interesting. It's a flat black dial, and the glass itself has tons of anti-reflective. I believe there's anti-reflective on both sides, which means that like the dial is just super visible. It almost seems like there's no glass. Well, the dial is super dark and it sucks up a lot of the light. It does have a bit of a sheen to it where it does pick up a small amount of reflection. On top of the dial, we see these beautiful overlaid markers, which seem to be silver in color. They have an insane amount of lume. They're really nicely finished. And then one of the things that I really like about this watch is the date, which is at the 3 o'clock, but they did this really cool thing where one, not only did they match the date wheel to make the overall date blend in a little bit more, but if you notice the 3 and 9 o'clock markers, they're both like squares that are the exact same size. So in many ways, they keep the lume from continuing to be very strong on those areas, while at the same time keeping beautiful symmetry when it comes to the markers themselves. So I think that this is a watch that has a date that most people that maybe don't like dates are more likely to overlook, simply because of how well integrated it is and how it doesn't really compromise the 3 o'clock marker in any kind of way. So the hands are pretty standard hands to the Ocean Star line. However, I've always felt that the hands in the Ocean Stars are actually really nice. I feel like Mido has some of the best hands when it comes to divers. And one of the things that I really like is that they actually do kind of a combination of finishing where they have sort of like a polished outside, and then they have this center area that has this linear brushing that kind of spreads outwards. And you will see that on the minute and the hour hand. The second hand is also really nice. It takes 6 times per second, and it has this really nice hit of orange that really complements the green of the lume, which is always kind of visible to some degree, and the black to just make it really contrasty and really easy to see, and also to match that chronometer label at the bottom of the dial. Case back for this watch is pretty straightforward. It has a screw down case back with your pretty classical Ocean Star logo engraved into the back of the case. So moving on to the bracelet, we're pretty much looking at solid end links. This is kind of a male style end link that continues into the bracelet itself. The links themselves are brushed on the tops and on the side with polishing on that center link, and also with a polished bevel between the top and the side of the link, which overall makes it really nice and makes it play with light really well, giving it this military, stealthy kind of look to it, while at the same time having an insane amount of bling, which it sounds a little counterintuitive, but they've actually somehow achieved it. So for me, really the star of the Mido Ocean Star bracelets has always been the clasp. You have a completely milled clasp, also finished in DLC, double pushers to open and close the clasp, and my favorite part being the 2 buttons that allow the ratcheting system to basically pop completely out, and then for you to be able to adjust the length of the bracelet without taking the watch off, which I think it's amazing, and it's actually one of the most useful things that you can have on a watch, especially on hot days where the size of your wrist might change and you might want to loosen up your watch. It's like a really cool way to still have a bracelet, but really quickly just pop it out a few notches, and then it fits great again. All right, so now we get into the nerdy part of the review, which is the accuracy of the watch. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this movement is a Cosc certified movement, which basically sets the expectations for accuracy and overall quality of movement to be very high. And yeah, once I put it on the time grapher, I tested it over 6 positions. And I have to say, the movement did not disappoint. The movement inside of this watch is incredibly, incredibly accurate, with the max amount of time between the slowest position and the fastest position being 3 seconds. And in my experience, this has definitely been the most accurate movement that I've had in my hands. The fastest position was 0 seconds, with the slowest position being -3. This basically means that this watch will never run any worse than -3 seconds a day, which is super impressive. All of the amplitude amplitudes and beat errors were really tight. The smallest beat error was 0. The biggest one was 0.4. Only 2 positions were 0.4. Everything else was basically either 0.0, 0.1, or 0.2. So just really tight, really well put together. And yeah, the average timekeeping for this guy is just a little bit under 2 seconds a day. And on the wrist, I've been wearing this watch for almost a week since I tested it. And yeah, I have to say that, like, in my experience over the week that I wore it, I mean, it basically lost a second every day. That's what it lost. Which is pretty amazing. So accuracy, you know, I'm always bumming on powermatic movements, but this particular Cosc certified movements are on another league. You're getting something that's basically going to keep up with, you know, something like a Tudor movement, which is also a Chronometer certified movement. So for the price, just mind-blowing. All right, so let's get into the fun part of the review, which is talking money. Nobody likes to talk about money, but I have some good news. So the MSRP on the Mido website for this particular watch is just a little bit under $2,000. I want to say that it's like 1,900 something, right? So on top of that, you have to factor shipping, tax, all of that stuff. However, one of the really cool things about this watch is that you can absolutely find it in places like eBay, Joma Shop, or Ashford, and the gray market prices for this particular watch seem to be swinging between like $1,450 and like $1,650. Really a good watch for the amount of stuff that you're getting. I mean, you're getting the usual things that you would expect: the ceramic bezel, the sapphire crystal, you're getting that 600-meter water resistance, you're getting a brand that has 100 years worth of heritage, you're getting the helium escape valve, you're getting the DLC coating, you're getting the Cosc certified automatic movement, you're getting the ratcheting bracelet. Like, it's just the amount of value that you get in this watch. If you're into divers and Swiss watches, it's pretty insane. So as I said, if you want to go through a dealer, you might be able to get a discount. On the Mido website, you're looking at about $2,000. But if you want to do a little bit of internet research, I was able to find some as low as $1,400 new. And on Joma Shop, I was able to find it for a little bit over $1,600. So there's definitely some deals to be gotten with this watch. All right, so let's start wrapping this up with the usual likes and dislikes. So for me, the highlights, aka the likes, are going to be: 1, the bezel action. This bezel action is so unique. It's just super nerdy. Like, I love it. Just this whole, it locks and then you have to press it down and you get those smooth 60 clicks. I mean, it's just amazing. I love this bezel action. I love how it locks. I'm really surprised that more watches don't do this. I think that it's really cool and I really love it. The other thing that I really love about this watch is the lume. This watch is an insane lume monster. I mean, even when it's bright, you can still see the lume shining. And I even went as far as tasting it against my Seiko King Samurai. And based on my tests, I think that this watch lume can actually outperform Seiko's King Samurai's lume. And if you're a person that loves lume, you know that that's like a tall order for a Swiss diver that's more on the entry level of the luxury side of Swiss watches. The other thing that I really like, honestly, it's the movement. These Cosc Powermatics are super impressive. And this is the first time that I've been able to really experience the sort of high-end, top-grade Powermatic that is Cosc certified and has that silicium hairspring. It's a phenomenal movement, and I think that it makes up for a lot of the things that I don't like about those super low-grade ones with a plastic escapement. I mean, it's just a completely different benchmark. The last thing that I'll say about this watch is I think that it's pretty cool that they use DLC. I feel like DLC watches, especially divers, are not very common. So I think that it's something that definitely adds a little bit of variety to the mix. You know, like, there's so many divers, you know, you basically see the same diver over and over: stainless steel, stainless steel, stainless steel. So seeing black DLC at this price with this specs, I think is something that is really nice as well. And lastly, I'm a big fan of the helium escape valve. It is completely useless to me because I will never experience that level of water pressure in my life, but I think it's cool, nerdy stuff that you add to dive watches. And if anything, when you put one of these guys on, you're kind of living through the fantasy of what the watch can do more than what you actually will be doing with a watch. So I'm a big fan of that. As far as the dislikes, there's really only 2 dislikes that I have. The writing on the helium escape valve, I feel I would have rather have the watch without those letters there. They don't particularly bring anything to the watch other than letting me know that that's a helium escape valve, but I don't know if people really need to be told that through letters. And the other thing is this gap right above the helium escape valve, sort of like a little stretched out hole that's there. It's not the most visually pleasing. However, in Mido's defense, my guess is that hole is there to service the watch, so that it's probably part of being able to remove the bezel when you need to, work on the watch or service the watch. As I said, this watch has a very unique bezel action. So if I had to choose between having the hole and keeping the bezel action, I like the nerdy side of the bezel action, so I would keep the hole versus giving away that feature. But it's not the most attractive thing. I mean, it's kind of like a hole in the side of the case. It's a little weird. Other than that, I'm a big fan of this watch. And a little known fact about Mido is that they are sponsor of the World Championships of cliff diving. And if you guys YouTube cliff diving, it's like an insane sport where you have these guys that are basically like wearing nothing but like a tiny little Speedo doing these insane jumps in the middle of the jungle in places that are so remote that you can't really even have like an audience. Like these guys are just super extreme athletes living like this incredibly adventurous sport in these incredibly rough and rugged terrains. So the combination of knowing that Mido sponsors a sports like that and that they have the 60 years worth of history behind the diver, it kind of makes sense why they would want to push a watch like this to be like just a super insane diver that sort of reflects that same spirit of the things that they support and a sport as insane as cliff diving. But the thing that I like about Mido is that of course they're not gonna do what everybody else does. They're going to do it all with flair, and that's where you see those little polished angles, that DLC that allows them to shine things a little bit more and really bring more character to the tool watch. Like the tool watch does not lose any of this utility, but it still gains a lot of kind of like blingy character. And I think that that's something that's super fun about this watch. Well guys, that's pretty much it for this review. Please let me know what you guys think about this Mido Ocean Star 600. Do you guys think that for half the price of a Tudor Pelagos FXD that this could actually compete with such a watch? Do you guys know of maybe a more affordable Swiss diver that could maybe be even a better rival to the Mido Ocean Star 600? Please let me know what you think in the comments. I do try to respond to every single comment that people leave. And also, if you like the video, please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really goes a long way towards encouraging me to continue to make this content. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one. See ya.